What's going on, guys? We're here live from New Orleans, Louisiana, Super Bowl 59, and this is the week of the year. This is Radio Row, second time through for me. Last year, first time was Vegas. I don't know about you, but so far, so good in New Orleans, that's for sure. Steve Palazzolo of PFF, kind enough to spend some time with me today. And, man, you and Gordon spent quite a bit of time talking about the Ravens, of course. I mean, you covered the entire league, but what I watched throughout the year was an understanding of, I think, what a lot of us felt like in Baltimore, and that is the fact that this team just has not been able to put it all together in January, and yet talent-wise, I think you can put them up against anybody league-wide.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it difficult to analyze. I deal with this when we're talking about the Cowboys. Like, how do you solve Dallas? It's like, I don't know, play better in January. But with Baltimore, it's kind of similar. You know, you could say, well, the narrative coming out of 2023 was they're a great team, but they just didn't run the ball enough, right? In the AFC Championship against Kansas City, okay, we're going to go get Derrick Henry, and that'll solve that problem. But it's not that simple, right? It really is trying to find a way to peak at the right time, to put together your best game at the right time, to not turn the ball over, you know, in the divisional round, you know, 3 times in key spots. And so there's not a great specific solution for that, except, you know, Baltimore's very good at team building. They're really good at making good decisions and always giving themselves a chance to succeed. And I think you just continue down that path and at some point get hot and make a few more plays than Buffalo, a few more plays than Kansas City on the way to the Super Bowl.
When I look at the offseason big picture, I think there's 4 main things that come to mind. I don't know if they're going to come to fruition, but there's 4 main agenda items. Could a Lamar restructure be on deck? Could Eric DeCosta get out in front of a Derrick Henry extension, being that he's under contract for another season? Could a Mark Andrews trade potentially be in the works, given what they have at the tight end possession and given how much that would free them up? And then what the heck is the fourth? The fourth would be Justin Tucker.
Yeah.
And what the heck Justin's future is, given what's played out over the last week or so. When you hear those 4 things, is there anything that's most appealing?
Yeah, I think the Andrews trade is interesting. Not that you need to get rid of him, but you've built enough depth there. And I think Baltimore has also created an offense that doesn't have to be driven by the playmakers because Lamar is the driver. And I think he's always going to be able to create running room for the running back, open throws for himself, you know, open passing lanes because of the run threat. So I think you can be less reliant on star playmakers. Are they good to have? Absolutely. But it is a nice weapon to have, I think, which is a valuable piece in Mark Andrews to be able to potentially flip. The Henry thing is interesting because he always defies the odds as far as age, as far as, you know, Zeke Elliott looks like he's, 40 out there playing. And, they came into the league almost at the same time. And Derrick Henry still looks like he's, 25. So I'm okay with, maybe extending him and, keeping him around because it is just that is a nice compliment, obviously, to Lamar Jackson in a different way to win. So I think those 2 are most intriguing. Who knows with Tucker? Obviously, that's got to sort itself out. And then, decisions have to be made once, there's more information.
I think there's perhaps more legs on that too. If it starts to be kind of a Deshaun Watson-esque trickle-down effect, more people are inspired by, the allegations that have come out, and then maybe that outside of the range that they've currently been in, which is 2012, his rookie season, to 2016. Will there be more that come out and come forth? We'll have to see. But I don't know if there's another team league-wide who's more prepared to potentially move on from their franchise leader in touchdowns at the tight end position than the Ravens are with Mark, given the amount of depth that they have in that room. Likely has really emerged. And I think if you put him on another team, he would have been a hot commodity at this point. He would have been a household name, in my opinion. And then Charlie Kolar, certainly somebody that you shouldn't just turn your head on either. Life after Mark Andrews in Baltimore, I mean, you think that looks like what?
I mean, I think it is, likely ends up getting a lot more targets. Obviously, that whole draft class with Kolar and likely ends up being pretty good. They were loaded up on 4th rounders. That they did a nice job again from just a team building perspective. When you're able to draft, I think that year they probably had about 12 picks or whatever it was. You're able to draft in volume 2 or 3 years down the road. You're able to kind of make these luxury decisions, right? And say, hey, Mark Andrews is great. I think, and he was great when Tyler Huntley was in there. He was QB proof, so to speak. He was still a difference maker, but it's not a bad time, maybe, to sell high, continue to get more assets, build other parts of the team because of the depth that is built there. And I think, what does it look like? I mean, they mix it up formationally. They're a little bit deeper at receiver than they were a couple of years ago. They're still throwing fullbacks out there. And again, there's a lot of flexibility with this offense that you don't have to rely on a Mark Andrews as reliable as he's been, despite the drop, as reliable as he's been in the red zone and everywhere. I think they do have enough depth to be able to move on.
You mentioned fullback. One of the pending free agents decisions they're going to have to make is Pat Ricard, who, of course, began his career in Baltimore, undrafted rookie out of Maine, kind of been a main key to the cog for what they do offensively. We'll see if they retain him. A big conversation that we've been having the last few weeks is being that Lamar Jackson led a drive, a legacy drive, if you will, 90 yards with Anthony Miller, with Tylan Wallace, with I guess I don't know if Steven Sims was in on that drive, but he was earlier on in the game, meaning no Zay, no Rashad. I mean, you just ask yourself, they have to bolster this wide receiver room. They have to. And God forbid they're in that situation again without their number one in a do or die moment. Who are you going to have? And so if you're the Ravens, how do you handle the wide receiver position moving forward with a budding young talent, no question, in Zay, and the first ever homegrown wide receiver to be a Pro Bowler, which finally that streak came to an end this past season. Bateman's coming off a career year, but yet they weren't there for you when you needed them.
I mean, some of it you just can't control when injuries show up, right? I mean, for all that we talk about the Chiefs right now, the Chiefs somehow were the healthiest team in the NFL in the playoffs, right? They're going into the playoffs. They lost Rashee Rice early in the year, so that's a big loss. Every other player that was injured earlier, Isaiah Pacheco, Marquise Brown, Jalen Watson at corner, all those guys came back. I don't know how you control that. You can't just, if Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers are out there, you're not terribly worried about the receiving core, especially the way Baltimore plays. But I think you just continue to add depth. I think it's a good draft to add depth in, somewhere between picks 25 to 100, bring another receiver in and just continue to add that depth there. Also, I think Tylan Wallace, when he's been out there, has been really good as an actual receiver. I liked him coming out of Oklahoma State, but I think you just continue to add depth. You know what I mean? So it's Baltimore's MO, right? Last year they had to kind of redo most of the offensive line. They found a way to do that. Continue to draft and develop. And again, at some point, you'll roll into January healthier, and the legacy drive, passes will get caught.
Yeah.
Plays will be made defensively, and it'll all come together at some point.
Let me tell you, the Buffalo experience was something. Not only does the season come to a screeching halt in a painful moment, I end up going down with 2 weeks of the flu. We got stuck on a bus in Niagara Falls. Transmission blew. I mean, it's been quite the start to offseason. So let me just tell you, I'm happy to be in New Orleans.
It's draft season time now. It's time to move on.
Yes, no doubt about it. And that's what the Ravens have had to do staff-wise, too. Had a couple changes made, including Chuck Pagano going from, most notably on the McAfee show to now as a senior secondary assistant for John Harbaugh, and, of course, a return to the organization. What have you made of some of the moves that they made defensively because of, obviously, the black eye from last year was the first 10 weeks before all the personnel adjustments were made on the back end?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they got better down the stretch, and defense is always difficult to predict. Mike McDonald's defense had its own struggles in 22 at the very beginning of the season with coverage busts and everything. So you see how much communication, continuity, Kyle Hamilton. I mean, just having Kyle Hamilton and the flexibility that he could play in and around the line of scrimmage, he could play deep safety. All that stuff's great. So by next year, you hope that another year working together, system, Nate Wiggins being there, being more consistent down the stretch, I thought was important. But yeah, they took a step back because they had new leadership, right? And it's not just the plays that you call defensively; it's how you teach. It's the flow that you get into, how much the players know, and a lot of that is continuity defensively. And I thought the way that they played down the stretch does bode well for next year. And
they still got pieces and that's to me, like, when I see all these changes that are being made, Chris Hewitt, mutual parting of ways. I think to myself, Marcus Williams being benched and he won't be there next year, and Eddie Jackson cut in season. I just thought to myself, like, there's too much talent within that secondary to be getting those kind of results through the first 10 weeks. And then to your point, obviously there was a vast improvement down the stretch, which ultimately I thought was going to put them over the top in the postseason.
Yeah.
And ultimately it comes down to the other side of the ball from an execution standpoint, which is just still mind-boggling, but you have to turn a page at some point. How you enjoying New Orleans?
It's been good. I'm trying to eat as much gumbo and all the soups and various things, seafood. So
where you guys staying?
We have an Airbnb in
what part of town?
Sketchy area, a little sketchy area.
Is it really?
Nice inside, not as nice outside.
Who did the research?
We were late. We were late to get to the media hotel. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but we are where we are.
All right. Well, I'm French Quarter chilling, so if you want to pop over,
we're close. We're somewhat close,
but
couple blocks over from where we want to be.
Super Bowl 59. You got a prediction for Sunday?
I keep saying the Chiefs are calibrated to win by 3. So
you're sticking with it.
Chiefs are going to win by 3 because they always win by 3.
First ever 3-peat. Can I not say 3-peat, by the way, on this channel?
Yeah, the NFL just made an agreement with Pat Riley.
Really?
So Pat Riley had that all. He had that copyrighted or whatever.
Yeah.
So the NFL has made an agreement, so now they can use it, and so now I think we're allowed to. We can say Super Bowl and 3-peat all at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. He's been in the news for quite a bit of reasons these days, by the way, Pat Riley. Good God. I mean, the NBA storylines have been dominating this NFL offseason for sure. But, Steve, what do you got coming up this week content-wise with Gordon and whatnot? And let everybody know where you can be found.
My podcast is Check the Mic, and, we're just doing a lot of behind the scenes and all sorts of fun stuff over here. So,
heck yeah.
All
Steve Palazzolo, PFF, appreciate the time, man.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.